today, but I'm happy that it made you chuckle. Time is 9:03. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Erickson Galt.
Here.
Joliet.
Here.
Gershenson is absent with notice. Lubes is on her way. Taylor.
Here.
Hoffman.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Everyone would kindly rise, and Commissioner Taylor, would you mind leading us in the pledge today?
I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes dated March 3rd, 2026, moved by Commissioner Joliet, seconded by Commissioner Erickson Galt. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Minutes have been approved. I would entertain a motion to approve today's agenda. A reminder before we do that, if everyone could refresh, yes, no?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Second, I gotta attach this.
No agenda changes, just some added documentation.
Maybe a minute.
But that being said, all in favor, or sorry, motion to approve the agenda. Commissioner Erickson Galt moves that, Commissioner Joliet seconds. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Our agenda's been approved. I'll let you know when we can refresh. That brings us to our public comment. Anyone from the public wishing to address us on literally anything today? Oh, you're just in time. I just opened public comment.
Just ask
Well, you're wondering where you were.
It's always a weekly update or some monthly update or every tri-weekly update. Public comment. My name's Margaret Gupta. I'm with Oakland County, or Oakland Township and Oakland County, a resident. My story is continuing to evolve and it's bigger and bigger. Just some background for the new people that are not here. I have 5 Zoom hearing records that have been corrupted by Judge Lisa Lichten's office. The first one was in May of 2022, May 25th. Her statements of, so the arbitrator altered emails from an invalid date or to an invalid date. Big deal, Ms. Gupta. I said, it is a big deal. Let me explain why. That 5 minutes of a 25-minute hearing was removed, all that comments. So they could protect the arbitrator and the opposing attorney from altering emails to an invalid date, having ex parte corruption, adding the other opposing attorney onto the email because he said never received anything. That started a whole slew of they just took the steps, recognized the wrongs and corrected it. We wouldn't even be here. They would have accountability. So that's my whole theme this year, is accountability. What does it lead to now? I dropped off an 8-9-page letter with Mr. Mike Andrews, who is the chief staff here. That was back in November. You guys received it 3 months later in February. And I'm not sure if you guys received the email, if you read it or anything like that. But I also dropped off information with the county clerk. Why? The county clerk is supposed to be responsible for the accuracy and precision of the records for Oakland County, whether it's marriage, property, even court records. This is my follow-up with the county clerk. And I said, hey, listen, did you guys receive it? Are you guys doing anything about it? Can I sit down with you and let's correct these five records because the records are inaccurate and they're not precise. But I didn't hear anything back. And Lisa Brown didn't give me any opportunity to spend any time with her. So what I did is I called the office and I said, listen, I haven't received an email confirmation that you guys received the information. I haven't received anything that you guys are doing anything. Is anybody taking action? And this is what I got. And this is the only person that I really believe has taken proper steps. That is a true 100% employee county. And she is the receptionist that works for Lisa. And it goes to Mr. Frederick Miller, who's also the assistant to Lisa Miller, who's also an attorney, Lisa Brown, she's also an attorney. She goes, Ms. Gupta called me. This was November 19th, 11:26 a.m. She asked if anybody was going to follow up with her. 947-957-0439, that's my number. It has been made invalid in the Michigan Judicial Branch. I cannot call them, they cannot call me. How can you get a phone number invalid? I'm sorry. She warns that her phone number's been tampered with. She said a lot of things probably shared with all, well, Very brief overview, Zoom is unsecured and should not be used for corporate proceedings. She wants a meeting to correct her transcript. She believes there's been a sophisticated effort to conceal the information. That several meetings with Zoom have been altered and that she wants those responsible held accountable. She will be attending to all the Board of Control meetings or Commission meetings and voicing her concerns until she gets justice. She's the only one that says anything. And by the way, we have a meeting in Plains this week, I think, or next week.
Thank you very much. Any other additional public comment today? That closes out our public comment. And it brings us into, thank you, Margaret. That brings us into our communications section. We've got two today. They are, no, only one of them is from Parks, but Parks team, did you want to chat? You don't have to if you don't want to. This one, I think, is an annual, right? This is an annual.
Yeah, it's already been executed, it's just for informational, it's under 10,000, so it doesn't need board approval, and so it's just informational.
Questions, comments,
application,
concerns from
Acceptance.
colleagues on 7A? Cool. Anything on 7B, folks? Questions, comments, concerns? Commissioner?
This satisfies the apparent conflict.
Yes.
Okay, so it is planned to,
Absolutely, the plan is to move forward with this
okay, great,
recommendation,
thank
yes.
you.
And if y'all will recall, he told us verbatim, without prompting, in our committee when we were interviewing him that he would do this. So, just want it on the record that he told us he was going to do this and he is doing this. Thank you. Our communications have been duly accepted. And that brings us to Section 8, which is our miscellaneous activities, Board of Commissioner recommendations. And I'll bring our friends from the zoo up to the top to talk to us about 8A. I would entertain a motion to recommend to the full board item 8A, moved by Commissioner Luke, seconded by, Commissioner Taylor. Hello. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Amanda Hamlin, the Chief of Staff for the Detroit Zoological Society.
I'm Robbie Shoemaker, Chief Financial Officer for the Detroit Zoological Society.
First, we'd like to thank you for giving us your time today, and also thank you for the time that you gave us last month when we came to the full Board of Commissioners to present an update of everything that's been happening at the zoo. Today, we come to you with a request for your review and approval of a resolution, a recommendation to the full Board of Commissioners for a resolution for our 10-year millage renewal. Just to kind of recap a little bit on the history of our millage, this was actually started in 2008, where enabling legislation was put in place to establish the zoological authorities. The first ballot measure passed in that same year at a rate of 0.1 mils, and then it was renewed in 2016. We are seeking another low-cost renewal this time, also at 0.1. The current millage expires at the end of 2017. We're doing our due diligence in trying to, in 2027, sorry. We're doing our due diligence in trying to kind of get out ahead of this early, and we are seeking placement on the November ballot. Robbie's gonna go through some of our financial information, then I'll talk a little bit about programming and we'll be happy to take questions.
Great, so would like to go through a little bit about the county revenue itself for 2025, and then we'll do a brief recap of the zoo's financials for 2025. So the county revenue is very important to the Detroit Zoological Society. It brings in $16.8 million in 2025. It represents a little bit less than a third of our total revenue. And Oakland County generates 14% of our total revenue, about 40% of the total Tri-County millage revenue. So we're really grateful for the support of Oakland County voters and residents.
You have a clicker next to you.
Oh, perfect, we get to control it. Thank you. So thinking about the value that the Detroit Zoological Society brings to Oakland County and its residents, we had a little over 1.1 million in total attendance in 2025. 42% of that was Oakland County residents attending the zoo, and 52% of our members are from Oakland County, which is great to see. And millage revenue, again, is 14% from Oakland County. So it shows that value proposition that a little more than half of our members and 40% of our attendance is from Oakland County. And it brings in, it's only 14% of total revenue. So shows that impact that we're bringing to county residents. Thank you. So why that's so important? So for 2025, we finished the year with a little over 54 million in total revenue. And again, public support, and in particular the county millage, made up slightly less than 1/3 of our total revenue. It doesn't change the fact that the Detroit Zoo and the Detroit Zoological Society are trying to drive as much earned revenue as possible to make ends meet, thinking about attendance, membership, all the events we do. But again, that only brings in about half of what it takes to operate the zoo and the society. So again, just very grateful for the support and for the Tri-County revenue. On the bottom half of the P&L, we also finished the year with 54 million in revenue, so we were fortunate to finish with a balanced budget. One thing that we're really proud of is that 80 cents of every dollar is spent on mission activities. So think animal care, guest experience, educational programming, all the things that make the Detroit Zoo the Detroit Zoo. 80 cents on every dollar that we spend are on those mission critical activities. I'll kick it over to Amanda to talk about some of our programming.
So to Robbie's point about the millage revenue supporting a lot of our mission activities, we wanted to highlight some of the areas where most of that attention is spent. Specifically, in 2025 alone, we had 166,000 educational interactions with children and adults. This was a combination of activities that took place at the zoo, like district partnerships for field trips, Day at the Zoo, which is donor-funded programming to bring schools into the zoo at no cost. One thing that people don't often know is that our team does virtual classroom chats as well. We actually have educators that do virtual programming into classrooms all the time. We also have a lot of on and off site engagement with the community that is not necessarily specific to educational curriculum. We told you a little bit last month about Nocturnal Adventures, our shelter program, where we bring our shelter partners into the zoo for a private night of respite for their residents and also for their staff. We also have Dream Night, which is our program for children and families where a child is terminally or chronically ill. That's a pre-registration event that is also private to those families that register. We're able to provide a very curated experience and a night where they can be at the zoo with their families and hopefully be able to de-stress a little bit. And then we do all kinds of community events and tabling, literally hundreds of events throughout the Tri-County area throughout the year. Specifically in Oakland County this year, we're at Banner Blast, States, just all over. We also had 7,000 seniors participate this year in our last year in our 2 free senior days. This was a 27% increase over the previous year. So we're very proud of being able to continue to get the word out and bring seniors to the zoo for that experience. It is completely free for them to attend, and they're able to bring a caregiver of any age along with them as well. We do all kinds of programming. The bingo tent tends to be the most popular part of the day.
It's the place to be.
It is, but we do a lot of engagement throughout those events. One example, because we do have so many programming highlights and initiatives, I wanted to provide one specific example just to kind of give you a flavor for some of the things that I think the zoo engages in the community that may not always be obvious to people. This is a horticulture program at Children's Village that's led by our education team. This is the site near here in Waterford. The program engages young men ages 13 to 17 who are living in the residential treatment program at Children's Village. And they work with them to have some wildlife experiences that will foster respect, compassion, and empathy. This spring, our team actually is partnering with Oakland County Landscapes to refresh the gardens, clearing out beds, adding raised beds. The teens that work as part of the program co-design the space for growing food, outdoor learning, and caring for crops. And this is helping them to learn teamwork, creativity, and ways that they can continue to connect with nature. I'm really excited that our team just let me know that we actually received some donor funding to continue this program for another year. So we will be engaged, and our team is also working to develop a curriculum around this so that we can share this as a model with other organizations that might be interested in implementing it with their youth as well. One other big initiative we wanted to highlight. I'm sure you've probably heard, we are opening Fred and Barbara Herb Discovery Trails next month. We actually just put out our formal announcement yesterday that we will be opening this space on May 23rd. We're incredibly excited. This has been under development, construction-wise for about 3 years, but conceptually for probably almost a decade.
This is true.
I think this is an incredible example of ways in which the zoo has worked really hard to leverage a variety of different funding to bring something new to the community. The infrastructure portion of the project was funded through some congressionally directed spending, State of Michigan budget allocations, an incredible amount of in-kind work that was provided to us from Oakland County teams that we're very grateful for, and also a budget allocation from the city of Detroit. And then most of the above ground work was actually funded by private donors. So we've had a multi-years long fundraising campaign to raise private funding. The development is over 7 acres. We're gonna have 10 animal species there. It's really going to rejuvenate the portion of the campus that, have been showing some signs of our 100 years, in particularly for the infrastructure. We are incredibly excited to have been able to renovate the historic barnyard and maintain the historic nature of it, but also to add an additional farmyard space where we will have an interactive goat experience. To be able to go in the goat yard and actually brush and pet goats. We have a chicken feeding experience. We're bringing bamboo sharks and stingrays to the zoo for the very first time. And one of the things we're incredibly excited about is the number of outdoor learning spaces, the capacity that it's allowing us to build to bring even more students into the zoo and have adequate space to be able to develop programming outdoors. So we're very excited.
It's going to be a very exciting time.
Yes. And with that, we're very happy to take your questions.
Thank you very much. Questions, Commissioner?
Thank you guys very much. I enjoy the zoo immensely. Has the authority ever set up a endowment fund or a foundation to maybe long-term not rely on the taxpayers so much, so maybe it would perpetuate itself?
So the authority hasn't set one up, but we do have some permanent endowment funds that obviously we have in order to be able to support certain aspects of operation. Most of them are for restricted purposes. So for a specific program or a specific thing, there's not an operating endowment per se. We've been in a period of construction and growth over the past 10 or 15 years. So that's been the majority of our fundraising focus over the last decade.
One of the
Right,
things
thank
we're
you.
working very hard on to address that as well is to keep driving up that earned revenue potential.
Exactly.
So right now, we bring in over 50% of our funding through earned revenue, so the gate, memberships, events, programming that is paid programming, and we're constantly working to develop, new ways of generating that income organically on our own.
Yeah, so 10 years ago, earned revenue brought in about 40% of our total revenue, and now it's just north of 50%. And that's something that even as the budget itself has grown, with today's numbers, the fact that we're generating, a little bit more than half the revenue we need to sustain from earned revenue is something we're really focusing on.
Thank you.
Turn back over. Hi.
Hello, everyone. Good to see everyone again. Sorry I'm a little late today. Brandon Cole, I'm the chair of the Zoo Authority. Commissioner Hoffman, to answer your question also, the Zoo Authority cannot set up a revenue, an endowment. In fact, by state law, we have to transfer any funds we receive from the tax millage within 10 days of receiving them. They have to go to the zoo. And that's state law. And that was an issue we had previously that we resolved over the last handful of years here. But when the money comes in, it goes pretty quickly over to the zoo, save for our operating expenses that we need.
Thank you.
I think I kind of echo a lot of what you're getting at, because we recently, we hear all the time from you and from the DIA, among others, and that has been the big focus for the DIA, is building up their endowment with the long-term goal of sustainability. I will say, it's an apple and oranges thing for me, because with all due respect to the PhDs who do excellent art curatorial work and preservation work, they don't have to keep paintings alive. And it is a major expense that the zoo has, and it is just much more difficult to climb out of that than the museum does. But yeah, Commissioner.
Thank you. I understand your point, and thank you for that explanation.
Of course, for sure.
So, but could an endowment be started without taxpayer money, with other funding coming in?
Absolutely, yeah, the majority of our endowment that we have now is from other sources. It's from donors or foundations that have set it up with a specific purpose to fund a particular item. Those can be permanently restricted, meaning you can't touch the corpus, you can only touch the earnings on that.
Right.
Or with a restriction where you can spend the entire thing.
Okay, so thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner?
Is there any planned price increase or decrease for zoo admission this year?
No price increases this year for 2026, and there were no increases last year either. We're really trying to keep our pricing as low as possible in order to create as much accessibility for the community as we can.
And we do still have dynamic pricing for that reason.
Yeah, so we implemented dynamic pricing in 2017, I believe. We were the second zoo in North America to do it, and essentially that gives a wide range of prices. So if you can look a week or two in advance and are willing to go on a Wednesday versus a Saturday, you can find a substantially lower price point those days. And we have a range of price points for every day, even on our busiest days. So a Saturday in July, you can still find a range of price points there, not always paying the highest price.
Thank you.
No other questions? I have just a 50,000-foot philosophical question, because sometimes when all right, full disclosure, I worked at the zoo for a while. I'm a huge fan of the zoo. I love the zoo. We love the zoo. But when I am parading my pride about the Detroit Zoo, oftentimes I'll get from people who are much less familiar with the work that DZS does a gentle skepticism of like, but Brennan, aren't zoos bad? So could you just tell me a little bit about conservation and its core mission placement for DZS?
Yeah, absolutely.
Want to jump in?
Sure. Yeah, I think this was one of the things that was the most eye-opening for me when I came to work at the Detroit Zoo. I was in economic development previously, so about a very distant world from the world of zoos and aquariums. One of the things that's been the most striking to me is that conservation mission. The Detroit Zoo is an accredited zoo. We belong to the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. They inspect and reaccredit us every 5 years. One of the major tenets of being a part of AZA is that we are a part of a national network of zoos that develop species survival plans, and they collaborate to determine where animals should live and breed to be able to perpetuate endangered species. So this comes up a lot, especially when you see an animal movement at the zoo. When the polar bear twins moved, we got a lot of calls, we got a lot of emails. People wanted to know why they're going to Toledo. Well, they're twin girls that live with their parents. If we didn't follow a breeding recommendation and move them out to another zoo, they never would have had an opportunity to breed on their own and thrive as adult polar bears would do. That is key to all of our programming. We look at we have over 2,000 animals representing 258, I think, species now. And there are, there's a very intentional plan in place for all of those animals at the zoo.
Yeah, and the majority of the animals in our care can't be released back into the wild. So they're, dependent on our expertise and care. And to Amanda's point, the SSP Species Survival Program, it's really remarkable. It's a real life science experiment happening every single day in order to save these species that need our support.
Appreciate that. Cool. Any last things? No? Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The motion on the table is to recommend to the board. Madam Clerk, would you please promptly vote? Awesome. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
That brings us to item B. I would entertain a motion to recommend, it's a minor amendment 1 to the Oakland County Art Institute Authority Articles of Incorporation, moved by Commissioner Loops, seconded by Commissioner Erickson Galt. And I think we have a virtual guest today. Dr. Rajpal, you're on.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm glad to be able to present what I'm saying. Last month, I made a presentation to the Board of Commissioners about the Oakland County Art Institute Authority, of which I'm the chair. And the highlight was I presented brief bios on the 5 board members and 2 representatives, and then details about our service agreement with the Detroit Institute of Art. So the tax that we collect and pass it on to the DIAA, they have to do a bunch of things, and I listed those. And one of the items I mentioned was the composition of the Oakland County Art Institute Authority. Right now has 5 board members. 3 of them are appointed by the chair of the Board of Commissioners for a 2-year term, and 2 of them are appointed by the chief county executive for a 4-year term. So the recommendation was that these 3 members should also be for a 4-year term and make it kind of an even and staggering, and that's what the amendment is for the articles of incorporation that the commissioners approved more than 10 years ago, has this staggering thing. And I'd like to invite and thank Pam. She has produced the document, the item summary sheet, which gives the history and the detail, and there's a small change. So Pam, if you can go over that, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. Additions you want to make?
No, the resolution is to change the BOC appointees from 2 years to 4 years. And so it's amending the articles, amending Article 3, Section 1, appointments and terms of office.
And it's not just 2 to 4, it's 2 to 4 with the 4 offsetting the exec appointments. So
Yes.
we're never.
Yes, so with it happening this year, then there's some years right now where the county executive appointees and the BOC appointees expire the same year. With this change this year, they will be staggered throughout for the future.
Questions, comments, concerns from all? Easy peasy. Thank you very much, Dr. Rajpal. Madam Clerk, the motion on the table is to recommend to the board. Would you please prompt the vote?
We have 68, 0 nays.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Rajpal.
Thank you. We're all done?
Yep, all done.
Go to
I'll
the full
excuse
board.
myself. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Now, let's see, Commissioner Markham, is she coming for this one? Oh yeah, everyone refresh. Sorry. This is a good time to refresh.
You know, Chair Woodward, if Commissioner Markham is gonna recommend this resolution. Opposing state,
No, you're good.
opposing state legislation.
I'm not aware.
Well, I'm happy to skip it. We're probably gonna vote no on it, so.
Let's see.
There are bills at the state right now that are trying to hear some budget control.
You know, I
Well, I guess she doesn't have to. I mean, I think we're all pretty smart people.
I
Do we need Commissioner Markham to come? No? Okay. All right, we're good. Don't bother her. She's fine.
I know, I know.
So I would entertain a motion to recommend item 8C to the board. Is there a motion moved by Commissioner Hoffman, seconded by Commissioner Erickson Gall? Discussion, since Commissioner Markham's not here. Discussion. Commissioner.
I am absolutely opposed to them taking away local control. And if you read this proposed law, they're suggesting that you can make a residential lot no less than 1,500 square feet. That'd be a 30 by 50 foot lot. What kind of house? And I understand, and I'm in favor of adjusting the size of houses, that types of housing becomes more affordable. But what kind of house are you gonna put on a 30 by 50 foot lot with all the front yard, side yard, and rear yard setbacks?
A townhome. which are all the rage in a lot of cities. Commissioner Erickson Gold.
Oh, I agree. I think that the system is working with issues. I think that what should be done is to provide encouragement to local city CBTs to alter their zoning. I know Madison Heights recently altered its zoning laws to allow, for instance, accessory dwelling units and other things. I mean, I get the issue with housing, but to me, the issue, we're not gonna fix the housing crisis by wresting away control over these issues from the local authorities. And I haven't read this, it wasn't on my list, did this just show up?
Fresh, it's
Yes,
over the
okay.
weekend, yeah.
So I haven't had a chance to really read this and think it through, but, you know, I tend to agree that zoning should be, for the most part, a local.
Commissioner Juliet.
I concur with my fellow commissioners in that every municipality was developed at a different stage and the utilities are run differently. And after sitting on a zoning board, you need to have access and easement for emergency vehicles to get to and from. And that can be very challenging depending on where you're putting it, the size of lot, wetlands, and that kind of thing, that this doesn't really take into consideration.
Commissioner Woodward.
Less to weigh into the substance of the matter. I know that Commissioner Markham was trying to get on and had some technical issues. But she shared with me that this is something that Wayne County, this resolution is almost identical to what Wayne County adopted and brought forward. Obviously, SEMCOG has weighed in on this. I actually have read the legislation. I don't actually understand all of it either. And so I think one of the intents of this resolution is that Oakland County, who has already leaned in hard in terms of support of affordable housing, wants to be part of whatever state solutions there are to some of these things. And so I think this is why that she brought it forward. And so I lost her in a phone call just a second ago. I said I would communicate that to the rest of all of you.
Thank you. And yeah, she did tell me that Wayne County had passed, the Wayne board had passed this last week, and she wanted to just copy and paste over here. I'll add my 2 cents, and this will probably get me in trouble. So I think I come at this to, yes, this is in concurrence with MML and SEMCOG. And I don't know about y'all, but I've heard from all of my mayors over the last few months about this too, so they're all
Didn't MAC have a statement on it as well?
Yes, they
probably.
do. Yeah.
And for context in Lansing, I know a year ago, newly into this term, MML and several legislators had put forward a plan that was kind of to your point, that carrots. And I mean, it was a massive amount of money that they were proposing. The source of the money, who knows? But assuming they could get their hands on a massive tranche of money, then they were going to do this. And like, yeah, that's very helpful to a lot of policy. I think I struggle with opposing bills that from my vantage point were intended to start a conversation, and and frankly, this wasn't starting the conversation. MML had started the conversation a year ago with the carrot approach, and this is kind of the second chapter in a conversation, and I struggle with opposing a conversation because I don't think there's a chance that this package would move forward the way that it is, but I have to judge the book for the words of the book. The words of the book, I don't know. I think I'm pretty much on record. I think zoning is a uniquely American entrenchment of 20th century racism. I really think that it does a lot more harm than it's done good on so much. And I'm not saying that we should wholesale abolish zoning, but I do think that, I mean, I don't think that there's as much bad in here as as it's being made out to sound. And there are other things too. I mean, you wanna talk about like forbidding a minimum lot size. It's not requiring a minimum lot size, it's forbidding minimum lot sizes or forbidding parking requirements. Parking requirements are pardon my language, but they're asinine to me. I don't understand why we do that, because we end up with way inappropriate mismatches of parking spaces to the people who actually use them. I understand that there's planning involved in city making, for sure. And I'm not saying that chaos should reign supreme, but I do think that over the last half century, we've seen where these tools of urban planning, zoning, and minimum this, minimum that, have been really used to warp how humans live in suburban America, and not for the better. So I want to own a home one day, and I vehemently think that we should sink our teeth into housing. And I can't oppose bits of a conversation to that end. Commissioner Hoffman.
I agree with you about the conversation part, and I believe everything in life is evolution. This is talking about passing a law, taking away local control, and I am not in favor of it. The society evolves over time, and there is a lot of discussion now about maybe smaller lot size, but not to be mandated by the state or take away all that local control. Local control needs to remain local control. And the system is moving that way. There's an incentive for them to create more housing, which creates more home ownership, and everybody should have skin in the game. But I am absolutely opposed to the state knowing what's better for us. All communities are not the same.
I agree.
No, go ahead.
I agree, and I sat on the planning commission in Southfield, and it should remain local. I truly believe it should remain local.
Commissioner Loops.
I also agree with that. We have cities, villages, townships, each with a different name and a different character. And the residential component there is the character of the community.
Yeah.
That's why we advertise and market our different strengths and communities. So I would like to see the local control remain also.
Any other discussion? Motion on the table is to recommend to the board. Please prompt the vote.
You're gonna have to hit that e-vote. She was using your link.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no,
She couldn't vote.
That link was great.
Thank you, that passes.
Oh,
Did you do local government before this? Yeah. Yeah, you did. So I'm the only one who did not.
You should try it. It's fun.
That's why we desperately need more young people in office. All right, that passes. Moving on then, we've got one girthy item from the county executive department. Oh wait, no, this is a very small one. The big one's coming up eventually. This is just a small item from risk management. I would entertain a motion to recommend to the board, item 9A, which is a update to the workplace violence policy. Moved by Commissioner Lube, second by Commissioner Taylor. Anyone from workplace? Oh,
Good morning, Commissioners.
Hello.
Tom Hardesty here. I am Director of Emergency Management, Homeland Security, but also here on behalf of Dee McBroom from Risk Management and Human Resources, who are also involved in this. So in front of you is a proposed update to the workplace violence policy. This has not been updated in over 20 years. So looking to bring the policy more current, has more of a focus on cultural prevention and safety, provides some avenues for anonymous reporting, as well as some anti-retaliation protections, but also within that addresses and protects for bad faith reports. It includes things like remote and virtual work environments, add some language. There are some very limited cases where there were employees that could be authorized to carry firearms outside of the sheriff's office. And then also adds the behavioral threat assessment management team language, which has been operating for a couple of years now. And with that, I would take any questions.
Questions, comments, concerns? Commissioner Hoffman.
Thanks, Tom. I have a question. Is there some kind of problem that's arisen because we haven't changed this policy? I mean, what's changed?
That's a good question.
It's like do unto others, you know, don't.
No problem, no. Like I mentioned, providing some specific avenues for reporting. And again, it mentioned that behavioral threat assessment and management was not something that's been in place more than just a couple of years ago. So it provides an avenue for that in here as well. And again, I mentioned, unfortunately, we learned a few years ago that there were a couple of employees that have been authorized 25 years ago to carry firearms that nobody currently were aware of. So this just outlines that, mentions the policy of going through the county executive office for when that's appropriate, just getting some updates in there.
Thank you.
Anything else? Cool. All right, motion on the table is recommended to the board. Madam Clerk, would you please prompt the vote?
You have 68 nays.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, commissioners.
That brings us to item 10A, which is interlocal agreement with participation in My Life employer communities to establish on-site health and wellness center and services agreement with Marathon Health and Clinical. We need a shorter title, y'all. I would entertain a motion to recommend to the board. Moved by Commissioner Taylor, seconded by Commissioner Loops. All right, folks, welcome.
Bring in the girth.
I know, yeah. So much for the budget.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here this soon, bringing before you a real opportunity to do something that's gonna make a great difference in the future of how we deliver healthcare opportunities to our workforce. Within our 5-year benefit roadmap that you approved this past summer, we did identify the exploration of a on-site, near-site clinic and potential pharmacy benefit as a real opportunity. And sooner than expected, but I'm excited about it, we had the opportunity to consider joining an interlocal agreement that would bring us into a collaborative partnership with some other municipalities that are already doing this work with a vendor, Marathon Health, that can really get us up and going a lot sooner than we ever imagined, and also provide to us the opportunity to immediately hit the ground running with an established network of these clinics and lease some building space while we're at it. So it's a real opportunity, and we're excited to talk this through with you. Also, just by way of update, the items in gray under 2026, we've already accomplished and implemented. Heather Mason and Caitlin Marvin are here from our benefits team, and they've done a great job getting us off to an immediate start and progress on this 5-year plan. So they will be back in a couple of months to give you a more formal update on where we are with some implementation pieces. But this on-site, near-site clinic and pharmacy option came up sooner, and it's exciting to get this underway. It really will allow us to better control our destiny when we talk about how we're offering healthcare to our workforce. And that really comes in 3 different areas: access, affordability, and outcomes. I don't know if any of you are U of M Health System patients. I am. So I've gotten my letter that says they're in conversation with Blue Cross Blue Shield. And we all hope it turns out well, but there is conversation around Blue Cross Blue Shield no longer having U of M Health System within its network. So instantly, people could potentially lose access to their primary care doctors and to the care that they are experiencing. Me, personally, I'll tell you. So for example, having an on-site, near-site clinic available to employees, they don't have to wait a few months to find a new primary care doctor. They immediately have access to the care that they need for preventive and primary care, also for sick visits. The affordability piece is really exciting too, because it's a way that we can offer employees the convenience and access of having something nearby, but also waiving copays and costs associated with that. So immediately putting dollars back into our employees' pockets in avoided cost of care. And then the outcomes. This model allows doctors to engage differently and more deeply with their patients. It really creates an environment where there is integrated care, and much better chronic condition management. So our hope is that we can get this launched and have our employees access this new model. Sorry about the girth of the matter before you, but it really is, I'm not gonna let that one go.
One more time.
You said it's girthy, I'm gonna go with that. But there really are three legs to the stool, because we're looking for an interlocal agreement, again, to join communities that are already have these clinics in place and allow us to join with them. And to create a services agreement that is custom to and works for our workforce at our clinic. And then thirdly, the lease agreement, which establishes the use of existing space to accomplish this.
And for clarification right here, the only item of those three that we have today is the first one. Two?
The interlocal.
And services agreement.
Well, the appropriation. Services agreement, yep. Yep. So this would be a public-private partnership. We would be partnering with other local units of government that are already working with this model. We would be engaging with Marathon Health, which is their selected provider for their existing clinics. We can do this under the Urban Cooperation Act. And it's really a great opportunity to kind of hit the ground running with a great partnership. There's also real opportunity in the future to be innovative in how we scale this up and how we work with the broader community. We could potentially have other local units of government join us, other groups access the clinic. We control our own destiny, so it's really up to us how we want to shape this clinic and have it serve our workforce, but also if we want to broaden it to other community members. So you have attached the actual interlocal agreement, but we're just highlighting the other municipalities that are part of this. And again, I'll highlight that each member has their own contract and service agreement, because the model here is that they each have their clinic that they create and shape to meet their workforce's needs, but then we expand and offer access to everyone at the entire range of clinics. So for example, we are gonna have physical therapy and mental health services at our clinic, because Caitlin can fill you in on the details behind it, but we know what drives our workforce's needs and where we focus our dollars and our care to meet the actual needs of our workforce. So we know that physical therapy is a big spend and a big need, so we wanna offer that at our clinic. Not every clinic might have that, but ours will. But our employees can still go to all the other clinics if that's more convenient. You know, there's one in Novi, there'll be one in Sterling Heights. So it can meet geographic needs as well. Now, when it comes to the services agreement piece and what the actual care at the clinic might look like, you can think of this as a real comprehensive primary and preventive care setting where people can get their, annual screenings done. There will be labs there available. There will be on-site pharmacy available. We can work with the kidlets, age 2 and above. Under age 2, they do need to, be with a pediatrician setting. After age 12, it's really kind of, open. They can do everything. But one of the things that I thought was cool is, they said you can do sports physicals. So a lot of folks are, going and spending a copay to go get their kids' sports physical. Bring them here. It's free, in and out. Easy access, easy care. But then that condition management is here as well. So we can really dial in on a deeper level with offering people care, not only treating what maybe they're facing today, but helping set them up for success going forward. The after hours care is a great opportunity too for employees to engage with a nurse after hours. We're also talking with Marathon about the types of hours that this clinic will need to meet our 24/7 operation. So we may be able to land where we've got some extended hours, for example, for second shift folks. So they can go at 7 o'clock in the evening and take care of what they need to take care of. And improving access, I mentioned, potentially losing U of M is just, kind of not to scare anybody, because I really think they're gonna resolve it, and we have plans A, B, and C behind that if the worst should come to pass. But the environment today really is fewer and fewer primary care docs, longer and longer times to get in. And if you need to create a new relationship with a new primary care doc, it could be months, and I'm not kidding. I just transitioned my older child from, the pediatrician to his big boy doctor, and it's months. It was 5 months out before he could get an appointment to see a doctor for the first time and establish himself with that primary care doctor. So this really solves for that, in addition to just the convenience of what we're looking at. The affordability piece, central to our 5-year plan is improving health, making sure that we hold true to our commitment to not only offer competitive market wages, but the best in benefits, because that's really our brand as an employer. We want to offer the best in class benefits in a really financially sustainable way. And this is one step toward us accomplishing that. But more importantly, it's a way for employees to make decisions about how they want to keep their dollars in their pocket. If they want to utilize this clinic, again, they're going to be able to waive and avoid co-pays. They'll be able to, manage their care and their healthcare spend more directly and better. And then improving the outcomes. I think this is where we're going to see in time, once we implement and scale up, should this be passed, really having the opportunity to kind of control our own destiny differently and better around chronic condition management, integrated healthcare, and then tailoring this clinic to our workforce's needs, and then also letting that evolve and change as our workforce needs evolve and change. I'm really excited about the on-site pharmacy. We see that being a driver of our spend, or the pharmaceutical side of things. So there's a real opportunity here to have this clinic grow and how it serves that piece of our workforce needs. I mentioned the physical therapy, mental health services is a huge area of need as well that's really hard to access. So having that on-site will be incredible. And the wellness programming, I mentioned, I gave you a teaser that Caitlin and her crew will be back to tell you about our progress on our 5-year plan, but also the wellness strategy that they're finalizing and will get up and running. And that will go hand in glove with this clinic, that as we develop wellness programming, we can really pair that with this clinic. And then the fiscal part of it. So I wanted to highlight that the way that I've encouraged everyone as we've been discussing this as an option, I'm really encouraging people to think about this first as a way to improve healthcare outcomes, because that is the driving factor behind this initiative. But secondly, there's a real opportunity to quickly break even in terms of cost. We see that happening within the first 3 years. And then longer term, we will have a return on our investment that not only returns our initial spend to get the clinic launched, but then year over year will help us contain our spend on healthcare, because we control our destiny. We have a cap on the increase in the actual operating costs. We don't have that with Blue Cross. What we have with Blue Cross is they tell you what it is and you say, thank you, sir, may I have another? The cost is we don't have as much control over that spend. With this clinic, we do. So we can keep costs lower, we can keep services more customized and higher quality, and there's just a real opportunity here that we're excited to seize. A couple other things that as we begin seeing a return on our investment, this will help to fund those future items that we've envisioned in the 5-year plan that are priorities for the county. One example that I've listed here is it would be fantastic if we could deliver on an opportunity to offer some kind of access to care for our part-time employees. This clinic could do that. We wouldn't need to fully insure them through the Blue Cross plan, for example, but we could tell our part-time employees, here's a clinic and access for you. That would be a great way for us to deliver on the kind of employer we want to be in our commitment to our workforce. Also, in future years, we hope to improve the way that we deliver parental leave and child care assistance. I mentioned a couple times as we went through that 5-year plan that Oakland County is the best at most. A couple areas that we could do better. One area is retiree health care. How we're helping people save for that and how we're helping people access healthcare in retirement. These clinics can be accessible to our retirees. So within the year, we now have a way to say to our retirees, here's one more way that we can support you after your dedicated service to us and into the future. Another item that has been highlighted through our employee benefits survey that has broad-ranging interest is covering domestic partners. Right now, we only cover spouses. A lot of folks don't get married anymore. People form their families in much different ways. And so there has been an expression of interest in domestic partner coverage. As we return on our investment and have additional dollars to invest, access to this clinic could be one way that we, again, expand that to people's families and more in different ways. The numbers. I usually don't like I don't like to show tables with red on them, but it's only red in the first couple of years. This is really the launch and the getting the clinic operational. And these have very conservative numbers through this model. It only has a 25% participation rate modeled here. It would be our hope and expectation that more people would take advantage of the clinic, but we wanted to keep our return on investment model kind of on the conservative side of that world. So you'll see in years 1 and 2, we're investing in this clinic to get it up and running. And then in later years, 3, 4, and by year 5, we've paid for the investment, now we're returning investment to ourselves. So that's done by, again, increasing utilization of the clinic, but importantly, capping that spend, because this clinic's operating is, at 5%, whereas Blue Cross Blue Shield, we can expect 8 to 10% or even more on our spend with things that are running through our traditional Blue Cross model. And then finally, the lease agreement part of this, because kind of the, what is really serendipity here is, all of these things came together with having this opportunity to join an existing network, being able to deliver earlier than expected on an objective that we had in our 5-year plan, and then utilizing existing space that the county has and is looking to partner with someone to use. So the lease agreement is for the Oak Point building over on Elizabeth Lake Road. It envisions using about 5,000 square feet of space. If you have questions about rental rates and such, I'll lean on my colleagues to help with that because I can just kind of read the slide when it comes to this piece of the puzzle. But it has been reviewed by our facilities team. The tenant will be fully covering the cost of improvements, including relocation costs. So again, today we're looking for your support on the interlocal agreement. We're looking for appropriation of the funds because right now we don't have funds appropriated to support a near-site or on-site clinic. We have that included within our budget as part of our healthcare spend, but actually directing those funds for this use is not included in the approved budget. And then we'll be going to EDI for the lease agreement piece. So what questions can I answer?
Would this program be considered an HMO under insurance benefits?
No, so this is fully, we fully own it, if you will. So we pay per employee per month for access to the clinic. And that covers the services that they receive at the clinic. The only additional bill back that we're gonna see are for pharmacy and labs, and that's at a pre-negotiated, trust me, it's a great deal, rate. So anything that we have delivered through this clinic replaces what we would otherwise be directly billed for at Blue Cross Blue Shield rates.
So someone would be able to keep their primary and use these services?
Absolutely, because this is a primary and preventive and acute care. So think of it like what you could maybe do at an urgent care. But if you needed something more, they're gonna have to refer you out to a hospital. They're not gonna be doing colonoscopies here. They're not gonna be doing, they're gonna have to refer you out. So you need your insurance for all that. But let's say you need a preventive, visit, maybe Blue Cross preset rate is, I'm gonna make up numbers now, Caitlin, maybe it's $200. We've paid $25 for you to go to this clinic. So that's how the savings are returned.
My last question is the clinic associated with any hospital health system if someone needed to be hospitalized?
Not directly affiliated, but they, if they need to refer you, they will, and then they follow through, which is kind of that integrated care that I said I was excited about. People might not be excited when they get follow-up calls, but again, the interest is making sure that people really tend to their health. So they will refer and follow up.
Thank you.
I have so many questions, but I'll see if I can stay organized. So how many locations are we contracting with?
Right now, there are 2 ready to go. Which ones?
Well, there's the one in, there's Novi, Sterling Heights, and then Madison Heights has the one for that local agreement, and then ours. But then I believe they can go in any marathon clinic throughout the country.
Yes.
Yes. And so I'm assuming those locations were selected because those are what exists now within this model?
Yeah, those locations are affiliated to those communities that are in the interlocal agreement of what they already have established. So by joining the interlocal agreement, we are actually gonna establish a clinic here on the county's property, primarily for our employees, but that would also allow those who are in those communities actually to come up to this clinic should they get scheduled.
So in terms of funding for operational costs, you said that we're gonna be paying per employee, that'll be our share?
Yep.
So is that a flat rate or is there, are the operational costs of staffing and that kind of thing built into it? I mean, if you have a clinic that multiple municipalities are using, how is it equitable for each community to be paying their share?
You pay per employee per month to have access to your home clinic and the network.
So then like at the end of the year, is there a true up in terms of operational costs that those were spread evenly? So,
and they did an analysis, they did a heat map of where their existing clinics are that employees could use and where our employees live and then work, so that they could see how many, that our employees had access to nearby clinics. Because not everyone also, this
Right,
this
depending-
campus isn't gonna be the most convenient.
right, I get that. I'm just concerned that either us or other communities will be subsidizing, the taxpayers will be subsidizing the other communities that aren't utilized and we're paying a per employee cost.
We will not be because
We don't know because there's not a true up at the end of the year to see which was utilized by which community and how many employees are actually, if say that we only use 10% and the other communities are using 30% of their employees are using it.
So
Do you
that's
see
what, so this is the model that, let's go back to what we have in that model of where, here.
Yes, I see that.
Okay, this is where these numbers were assuming a 25 participation rate.
And but I guess what if it's lower than that? Or what if it's bigger than that?
So if it's larger than that, the red goes away.
Right.
Which goes
That's
away,
best
and then
case.
that's the other side. Now, if it's lower than that, then the question is, what we're driving on is the marketing in terms of saying, how do we make sure we get employees into specifically our Oak Point clinic? So for example, one of the things we were talking in the lease agreement is that new employee orientation would occur right there at the clinic. So somebody who's new and younger coming, who may not have a doctor, we really want them to come to utilize this clinic. So that's it's really the marketing effort, and that's where the service agreement is, we're working with Heather and Corporation Council, is that, again, we're going to be creating the drivers for our employees to use this, so that we want to exceed the 25% based on this model.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, is if this is, let's say, first year's 15, yeah, that number's gonna be lower, the red is gonna be higher. But then the question is, internally, we have got to make sure, how do we internally drive that, because we have to have cost savings. Now, what's outside of that, which is a separate issue on the lease agreement, whether the way we structured it is that if they're gonna pay us for the space and our building space allocation. So to me, we're covered from a physical location on that, and that's not in these numbers, because to me, that's outside, that's why it's an ED&I from that perspective.
I get that. So, and these clinics, are they just in county employees and other municipality employees that are using these clinics?
No, you could also have Marathon actually services those in IBEW unions that could be utilizing the clinics with Marathon.
Okay, so it's not.
They could have relationships with.
So they're contractual relationships, they're not like to the public.
Right, so our service agreement is really for what we're contracting for with Marathon in this case. The HR benefits team is saying, of the menu of items that Marathon could offer, we want these right here at a minimum. There could be additional things that Marathon could offer us, like for example, we could say, how much physical therapy do we need to have? Is that something that we should be offering either at that location or throughout the Marathon network?
So, and last question,
Sure.
So is Marathon, since they have these contracts with municipalities and other government, are they considered like a nonprofit, like a Beaumont kind of thing? So they're paying, I'm guessing, private tax and all the other, they're not getting any exemptions for lease and rent?
They're private.
They're private company,
Yes, and so that for us, that's where we looked at that's why the lease is outside of, like, say, the service agreement. They are going to pay our costs, from our perspective.
They do have a strong background. For example, they're currently providing clinics in City of Kalamazoo and Kalamazoo County. They do have other public sector clients. They are familiar with that. The way that they describe their mission and what they feel most proud about is that they can provide like concierge, white glove healthcare to the working person. That's what the goal here is, because again, when you talk about U of M Health or Blue Cross Blue Shield or the large hospital systems, we don't have much to say, even though Oakland County's kind of a big deal. With those groups, we're just another fish in their sea. With this clinic and this network and Marathon Health, we get to sit on the panel to hire who we want to treat our workforce. We get to talk with them about what our workforce's real healthcare needs are and chronic condition drivers are. We get to shape and tailor this in a way that we can deliver to our workforce, highly customized, super accessible, affordable, free. I mean, it is a new day, and I welcome not being kind of like at the mercy, right, of big insurance and big healthcare systems. I know it's just the preventive piece of the puzzle, but that's where the magic happens. Because when you talk about only 20% of our folks are getting their cancer screenings on time, when you talk about some of the other actual things that we're seeing our work with, we have the opportunity to make a very significant impact on the quality of care, the potential outcomes, and really making sure that employees feel like today, if they don't feel well, they can go across the street and get what they need.
I'm gonna put it another different way. I know it's the two red areas. If we don't make this investment, we're not going to see, say, the green on the other side. If this didn't exist, the employees are still gonna use Blue Cross Blue Shield and still have these costs. We're still gonna be paying something that's probably, since we pretty much fully fund our healthcare. And so I look at it as from a financial model, the opportunity to start having an overall ROI of 15% in 5 years. It excites us because what else can we do with those dollars in our budget process? 5-year plan.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you for all of your answers. I come from somewhat of a healthcare background, so I need to study this a little bit more and be aware of all the private practices that are out there, and that we're somewhat incentivizing employees to come away from the private practice to go to this, which concerns me a little bit. But so I'm gonna be a no for now. That doesn't mean in general I won't. I just need some more time to investigate this. So thank
I
you.
certainly appreciate that, is that we would be paying the cost for the private practice. We're actually trying to make sure that but we would also we already have a fixed cost for being inside the clinic. And, as an employer, I think I'm trying to figure out how do we have some more dollars left for the employee to do else other than just paying for healthcare, retirement. It's a bigger picture.
Yeah, and I suspect it's not gonna be a one-for-one replacement, right? I mean, some people are still gonna just use their regular doctor for the things that they want to use that for, but if you're at work and you feel a little, oh, my throat's getting sore, let me run across the street and have them quick do a culture and give me an antibiotic, that's convenience. It's not replacing your doctor. It's not like you have to abandon. Yeah, it's not like you have to abandon the care that you're already receiving.
Right.
If you're
I mean,
satisfied with it, it's a plus.
There is the telehealth now that you can just pick up the phone and, yeah.
But this is a plus. And the other opportunities are around, pre-employment physicals, workers' comp kind of support. There are ways that this clinic can really help, again, offer an option for additional convenience, and where it works, that will be fantastic. And where it doesn't, that's okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner.
So as it currently stands, because of the interlocal agreement, we're gonna have multiple locations where our employees can go. Are all the services that we offer the employees gonna be available at all locations?
No, and that's what we, not because it's great, but we like the idea that we can customize our clinic to our workforce's needs. But others have the opportunity to do the same. So it's not gonna be a one-for-one, but there is gonna be a baseline of core services that are available, and there's continuity throughout on that level. But like, we're gonna have physical therapy, we're gonna have mental health services, that might not be at all of them.
Okay, so if, say for instance, I need physical therapy and the only location available is one over here at Oak Point, just, hypothetically, what is gonna incentivize me as an employee to drive from Troy to half hour to Pontiac and back, as opposed to go 10 minutes down the road where I'm going right now?
Oh, you can do that. You can go 10 minutes down the road if that's more convenient. You can still obtain your care wherever and however you please.
I
You'll waive
understand
the
that.
copay.
What's the incentive to drive me to make me wanna drive to get the care? Is there,
Waive the
other?
copay.
I'm sorry?
Waive the copay.
It's gonna waive the copay.
And you can
So
go
the
right
money
after work.
that,
You can go right after the 30% you're working here. You can make your appointment like on your lunch hour, right after you get off or before you go into the appointment.
okay, so the copay I'm paying currently to my physical therapy would be waived if I was using Oakland County's. And how is that gonna work with pharmacy?
So they are largely gonna be dispensing generic level medication, will be billed back directly the actual cost, but it'll be again a $0 to the employee.
So if I don't have, if I have a medication that is not even available in generic, how is that gonna work?
It would be the same that it works now, they would probably have to phone it into a different pharmacy, you go get it and pay the copay.
Right, so I'm probably gonna just stick with CVS because it's down the road for me as opposed to. So some of these things are, we're gonna be able to, persuade our employees to take advantage of it. And it'll, both, as you say, to help improve their health outcomes, but also, cost savings is not, I'm glad it's on that top 3 because it is a big goal. But this is, what I'm seeing, this is going to be really more of a supplement to my existing healthcare as opposed to a replacement.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that so succinctly, because if I misrepresented, I did not intend to. I'm a little enthusiastic about it, because I think as a supplement, it meets an enormous need. And I think, like I mentioned, for our lower wage earners who means a lot to keep $20 in their pocket for a copay, it could be a game changer. And this opportunity to have, once we've realized our return on investment, to invest better and differently in expanding access to other folks, to enhancing what we can do for our retirees, to thinking about our part-timers, there's some real opportunities there. So this is absolutely an enhancement, it's an option, it's a plus, it's not an instead of.
Great, thank you.
Any questions? Cheryl?
Thank you. Is it fair to say we're joining these other for-profit organizations, right?
The municipalities are
No, not
government-
municipalities, the,
Marathon Health, the
Yes.
vendor.
okay. So who are we competing against then? We're joining this for-profit company, subsidizing them. And then who do we compete with? Other hospitals and clinics and?
We're not competing. It would be employees have a choice of how they wanna access healthcare and who they wanna utilize for healthcare. They can utilize the Marathon Health near site clinic that's available, or they can utilize, in my case, the doctor at the U of M clinic and where I go. So people can still, choose, or urgent care, any of the above.
So when they come to this clinic then, because we have Blue Cross, they would use the Blue Cross card at,
No, we've paid for them, because we've paid $25 per person per month, so their care is all set. So the difference is, let me just talk so if we spend $75 million a year on medical RX,
okay,
$75 million a year goes to Blue Cross Blue Shield.
okay.
If we spend $70 million a year on Blue Cross Blue Shield and $5 million a year on our near site clinic, we're still spending the same, but people have the options. Does that make sense?
Okay, and the incentive is they don't have to pay a deductible.
And it's closer, and they might, the copay, and it's closer, and they might enjoy the type of care that they receive differently and better, more, accessible, affordable.
Okay, thank you.
I think that the conversation has illuminated like what this really is. I just want to correct this, as it was mentioned, like we're subsidizing Marathon. We're not subsidizing Marathon. We're buying a service that we're providing to all of our employees. Just like we buy a service that allows Blue Cross Blue Shield. We're self-insured. So I think that $75 million example is right. That we're going to pay what it costs for healthcare, whatever the full cost is, because we're self-insured. So as a $1 billion entity with 4,500 plus employees, the question is, and access, quality, all those types of things, I don't want to negate those, but I'm going to jump into the dollars because our healthcare costs are exploding on 10% a year, 12% a year, and if the incentive is I don't have to pay a copay and I'm going to physical therapy and I'm gonna save $20 a month and it works for me, and as a result of that we can, like the cost to us is $25 a month for that person, that's cheaper than if they go to somewhere else. Now, no one's saying they have to do that, but if they chose for themselves to do that and they get the service that they need for better health outcomes, that saves us money. So that $4 million 5-year total plus savings potential is a way of bending that cost curve. Otherwise, the flip of it is that we're gonna have to start charging our employees more for healthcare, and which we have, and which is why I think this presentation starts off by here's the 10-year plan on how we're trying to control costs. And I call a victory that if we can keep our healthcare costs flat for a year, that's millions of dollars saved in the bank. And that's why this is a value add. I don't think that this is a direct competition with the private sector and everything. I'm gonna share a little story here because I was debating whether or not to. I'm in a battle with Corewell right now. I'm infuriated that my teenage daughter goes in for her wellness visit, asks one question about a health thing that she's doing at 14 years old, and then got billed, not just for a wellness visit, but as a service for asking a question. And like, that's insane to me. Whereas, and frankly, if she went to one of these facilities, she was like, hey, I have a question here. This is what we should do. Here's some Advil. And be done. And so you might read about it in the newspaper, and hopefully I'm not with a sign in front of the hospital protesting this $20 copay. But the reality is like, and I get the pressures of healthcare systems trying to bring in whatever dollars is to be able to fund their operations. But it's that type of stuff that is driving up our costs, and it's these types of things that I think are appropriate. I mean, are best practices to reduce costs as the person who has to pay the bills, the county in this case, and give all the options to all the employees to get the best outcome and put you in the driver's seat to be able to dictate those terms. So,
just so you know, the interlocal agreement with Ferndale and Madison Heights and Royal Oak they've been doing this for about 12 years now. So it's tried and true, and again, they're also doing it in Kalamazoo and in Kalamazoo County and throughout the country. So they already know how to do it down there, and it's going really well.
Thank you.
I have one more question. If, are one of the locations gonna be on this campus then too for that? Okay.
Yes, so it's going to be on Elizabeth Lake Road. We have.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I did hear you say that, sorry.
The location that's been selected is when there's a traffic light there, so great access in terms of control.
I know where it is.
And then you pull right in, and right there is the end of the building, or the butt of the building, and that's where is the 5,000 square feet. So more than likely, the entrance to the clinic will be right there at the end.
Yeah, I know.
Easy to be seen, but again, it's actually empty.
I know, thank you.
Yeah, so we're pretty excited about utilizing space.
When the dust has settled on this, would you provide us a list of the 5 communities and their, we have the communities, but the hours of operation for the clinic?
Commissioner Singhal.
Is there any word that other communities might be jumping on board as well? And I know that you said that the communities mentioned, a couple of communities here have been doing it for 12 years.
I mean, I could see where the city of Pontiac be saying, should I be doing this as well? The model, closer. And I think, I guess the question is, are other communities gonna say, oh, are we in this? Maybe they're gonna follow us. Again, we're not the trailblazer on this, we're following others actually.
Commissioner Hoffman.
One more follow-up. With all the vacant buildings we're gonna have here, why would we go lease somewhere else?
This is one of our vacant
buildings. What's that?
That is our building.
Oh, we already own that?
We already own that facility, yes.
Okay, cause I saw the thing in there about leasing it or whatever.
Yeah, so
They're leasing it from us.
they would be leasing from us. And so we worked with Corporation Council as like, say, like for example, OCHN, there was an additional space for lease for them, but we worked with Corporation Council to have a lease that kind of tie bars into the service agreement, which would be like 5-6 year lease. But on the highlight, we asked for base rent, which is so many dollars per square foot. As you know, there's in the budget, there's what's called building space allocation. They have to pay for lighting, heating, cooling, common area, snowplow, yard, so that's all, they agreed to pay for that. The second thing is that they're gonna do what is called their own tenant improvements. They're gonna demo it themselves, they're gonna make sure they comply with code at their dime, on their cost. And then, for example, if there's an impact on them taking that space on the county, because pretrial justice services there, they've gotta pay us to make sure that we are code compliant, i.e. access out of the building, for just if there's a fire or something like that, so they pretty much have agreed to those terms and I'm pretty happy about it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, our
quick-
last
one more
question
quick.
goes to Commissioner.
So thank you for the explanation on leasing that building. On a sidebar, I know that the lease is up for the 52nd District Court, and those are not the lease terms for that agreement, so that would be something to move forward with when you're negotiating the lease that's up in May in the Clarkston Court.
Yes, and actually, I just received a memo today from Corporation Counsel, same as April Lynch and others in terms of that lease.
Okay.
In terms of what we're trying to do to.
It just sounds like a great lease agreement with the other guys.
Being, in that case, we're the lessor, we're not the
Right,
lessee. Yeah.
right,
I mean,
yeah.
we're the lessee, so we're not the lessor. In this case, we're the lessor, and now somebody else is renting our space. We're renting somebody else's space up there.
Right, well, yeah.
Always on the hunt for a good deal. Anything else? All right, cool. Motion on the table is to recommend to the board.
Five yeas, one nay.
Thank you very much. That item has been recommended to the board. And that concludes that section. Thank you. I was close. Parks and Rec, get yourselves comfortable. Next 45 minutes are yours. I would entertain a motion to recommend to the board item 11A, which is a grant agreement for and I'm just gonna skip, to the city of Ferndale, moved by Commissioner Loop, seconded by Commissioner Taylor, and Commissioner Erickson Dahl. I'm moving this restroom real quick while they are presenting, so go for it.
Right. First of all, I want to say how excited I am the impact of that last proposal on reducing the girth of the Parks Director. That should be a KPI. I don't know if I had a chance.
Participation, sir.
Okay. I was looking for an easy solution. Happy also, if I could just take a moment to introduce our new manager of strategic planning and performance, Dr. Esther Jackson. And she comes to us with a wealth of talent and experience, especially working with staff through change management, through what did you call it? I'm sorry.
People Potential Accelerator.
People Potential Accelerator. I've been told I have a lot of potential, so I'm excited. You want to just say a word or two about your background, Dr.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I come to you with a few years with Rocket Companies doing diversity, equity, and inclusion work, program management, project management, a couple of years doing private sector training, working with a consulting company where I supported clients across 34 industries with their workforce learning needs and some strategic planning. And then prior to that, doing around 17, 18 years with the city of Detroit. Workforce planning, work with human resources, the IT department, supporting learning needs, and doing some organizational development work as well. And then on the side, a couple of years doing my own thing as a consultant, supporting clients and working with them concerning leadership development, as well as workforce planning and project management. And every now and then, when I get a chance, doing some speaking at conferences across the country regarding my book on adaptability and then other areas in leadership development and organizational needs.
Back to the resolution that's before you. Fairly straightforward. We had awarded through our Capital and Trail Capital Community Grant Program, granted the city of Ferndale in the amount of $64,000 in 2023. They were awarded an MDNR grant in December of last year in the amount of $150,000, which is allowing them to scale up their project, but also in doing so will cause a delay in their execution of the project. As far as our grant goes, there's really no change in scope, but they do just need an extension in the deadline to complete the project. So this grant amendment would change that deadline from 11/17/2026 to 2027.
Any questions? Okay, you brought the vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
Awesome, thank you so much. That item passes. I would entertain a motion to recommend to the board, item 11B, grant application to MDNR for FY27 Off-Road Vehicle Trail Improvement Program. Moved by Commissioner Hoffman, seconded by Commissioner Loops. Folks.
Yep, thanks again, Mr. Chair. This is an annual grant that we bring before you every year. The MDNR has this ORV trail grant program. Our Holly Oaks ORV Park is operated, managed, and was created in a partnership with the DNR. They also support us through this grant program. The $150,000 grant would be utilized to install a solar-powered submersible well pump, drill a new well, pump house, and vehicle wash to address erosion and dust issues, which do occur at a former gravel pit on occasion. We try to work very well with the local government leadership there, and sometimes they have brought those issues to our attention. So these types of things help us address those issues.
Thank you. Questions, comments? No? Easy peasy. Motion on the table is to recommend to the board. Madam Clerk, please prompt the vote.
You have 5 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you very much. I would entertain a motion to recommend to the board MOU for 9 line, this is a 9 mile, not line, yes, task force. Commissioner Taylor, seconded by Commissioner Erickson Call. What we're not going to do with this item is present the 93-page PowerPoint.
Oh, come on. We had a whole presentation plan.
I read
Alan was gonna
most
do
of it.
interpretive dance. Okay, no, very straightforward. So our 9-line coalition started a couple of years ago through conversation with local government leaders in southeast and south central Oakland County. It's been a very positive process. We did receive a sizable SEMCOG grant to jumpstart things that we managed at Oakland County Parks. The whole idea here is to create this great east-west corridor of pedestrian connectivity, recreation facilities, arts and culture along 9 Mile Road. The brand is 9-Line. That's the task force. After the success of the initial endeavor, decision was made to extend the opportunity to the communities on the western side of the 9 Mile corridor there. So this MOU would allow the cities of Novi, Northville, South Lyon, and Lyon Township to be full members and participate in the task force. We have funded the second phase feasibility study to envision growing this pathway through those communities. So we will need their buy-in and support and participation. So I'm asking for your support of this MOU.
Questions? I have several. So I'll buy up some time for y'all to think of any questions. And I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer on this because it's not my neck of the woods. What is my neck of the woods, though, are a lot of incredible trails. I know trails. I spent my whole life on Paint Creek Trail, Clinton River Trail. I love the trails. Sorry, I took notes, so I'm just going to word vomit and then please react to my word vomit. I totally get 9-Line in the southeast corner of the county because where I have rail to trail access and I have those incredible right-of-ways, that does not exist in our super high density urban southeast corner. That's not the same situation in the southwest. That's not what's going on in Lyon Township or in Novi. And even when you read a lot of these projects on page 80, 81, 82, a lot of it is enhanced sidewalks, path, sidewalks. Some of it appears to just be shoving that sign next to the road that says, careful, bikers can use this road too, please don't kill one. And I guess I'm just confused how we plan to like religiously adapt and convince people that this is the one product, one recreation product the whole way across. Because those are very different things in my mind. That's question one.
Okay, fair question. This whole conversation started as we were looking at how much state funding was going to the Joe Louis Greenway, which is a fantastic project. The shame would be if it dead ended at the county border at 8 Mile. The idea here was to create these trail corridors in initially southeast and south central Oakland County. It takes a different approach when you have a community that's fairly well built out. And of course, they do have existing sidewalks that we can take advantage of. I think after the first phase that was focused on those south central and southeast Oakland communities, there was some value seen in extending it through communities like Novi, frankly, that are rapidly changing and urbanizing. I will say Lyon Township, I think, is our fastest growing community. Now would be the time to get the easements reserved if there was a plan down the road to extend the trailways. Our role here is to serve as sort of a facilitator, convener. The end goal here would be for these communities each to take ownership in their participation in this coalition. The initial feasibility studies that we in SEMCOG have funded are what allows you to go forward to get transportation funding, frankly, which is sort of the bread and butter of trails. But there's no funding for those early planning feasibility studies that can get communities to the table. And often, frankly, I think we miss out on these opportunities because we have so many local units of government that just the scale of what we're trying to do kind of gets lost as opposed to a city of the size of Detroit. I guess that's the best answer I can offer to you. We see this as a positive thing and we'd like to include all the communities on the southern tier of the county.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I guess I'm wondering where the line is between sidewalk gap filling and a trail. Because this feels very much like dancing on the line and I don't really care where the money comes from as long as we're calling a spade and yeah, I think sidewalk gap filling should happen everywhere. Everyone deserves sidewalk. No one deserves to ride in the road. So I'm all in favor of the product. It's just the process and where we're pulling this money. That's kind of my thing. Secondly, I again totally get it in our southeast corner. And this makes sense for us to expand westward because that's where we have left. But to what extent are we engaging with Macomb and extending that eastward? Because in my perspective, it's really toward Warren that this needs to get extended.
It's an interesting thought. It hadn't really occurred to me. And I'd be happy to have that conversation. And we'll call that the Johnson extension into Oak County.
They'll love that.
Yeah. I mean, there is more to the 9-line project and plan here than just sidewalk connectivity. It's also, I think in some cases, widening. There are some gaps that need to be filled, and a sidewalk can become a trail just like a rail, an old railroad bed could turn into a trail. That's the reality of trying to create something like this in fairly developed urbanized areas. Again, in Novi, which has some trails themselves, but they tend to run north-south. This idea of having east-west corridors adds something new. You have the M5 connector trail over in Novi there. If that could be connected down, I know there's a plan for Woodward through Ferndale and Birmingham. You know, if we could get those north-south corridor trails connected with an east-west corridor trail, that's gonna add a lot of value. And from the residents that and recreation enthusiasts' point of view, they really don't care about these municipal boundaries. It's just about the experience. So I think that's the best answer I can offer you.
Okay, thanks. Anything else? No? All right, motion on the table is to recommend to the board. Clerk, please prompt the vote. Supervisor Barnett, I saw you walk in. I was recently told that Lyon Township is our fastest growing community, but I immediately thought of yours. Is that not also?
We'll give it to John Dolan.
Okay.
They're growing as well. They have a lot of growth.
Right. But you're vacation land, right?
That's right, that's right. Grace.
Vacation, I always get it wrong. Vacation is a way of life.
Come on.
Every day is a vacation.
Living is a vacation.
Living is a vacation.
How long have you been involved in Oakland County?
Thank you very much. All right, moving on. We've just got 3 more items left. I would entertain a motion to recommend to the board item 11D, which is a interlocal agreement with the city of Farmington Hills. Moved by Commissioner Erickson Galt, seconded by Commissioner Loops.
Appreciated the opportunity to present to all of you at your last board meeting our Mission 26 plan. These next 3 items are key elements in executing that plan, both in terms of expanding our reach to more Oakland County residents and showing value for their tax dollars, in the depth of the experience, also in terms of nature education, school field trips, and you know, unique experiences. And value for all of members of the public. These partnerships have been a real win-win scenario for us where we can avoid expending funds on acquisition and frankly, in areas of the county where acquisition is no longer viable. So we have been hard at work. You had already approved this interlocal agreement last summer. The process requires us to work through this detailed transition plan. We need a little bit more time. The city had some additional questions, so they asked for the 60-day extension. And so this would allow us through June 1st to work through the finer details of how this is gonna work. This is a very busy, well-attended and popular park. So there's layers of complexity here that are a little different than some of our earlier partnerships.
Questions, comments? All right, motion on the table is to recommend to the board. Madam Clerk, please prompt the vote.
60-0 minutes.
Thank you very much. I would entertain a motion to recommend to the board item 11E, interlocal agreement with Bloomfield Hills about Bowers School. Commissioner Lubes makes the motion. Oh my God.
Could you E and F together, maybe?
Yeah, that'd be fine. So are you amenable to that, Commissioner Lubes?
Of course.
And Commissioner Taylor
So
seconds
beautiful.
that.
Are you taking them both at the same time?
Yeah, E and F together. Bowers and Johnson.
Well, thank you again. So this would be the 8th and 9th partnership we've entered into in the last 3 years, and it's really a fantastic opportunity for Oakland County Parks. It's also a positive thing for members of the Bloomfield Hills community, but it takes 2 very just incredible assets that offer the premier programming in terms of school field trips and experiences. Bowers School Farm also has the most popular winter recreation attraction in the county, their glow tubing facility over there. Johnson Nature Center over on Franklin Road, which backs up onto Telegraph Road, is just a unique, really beautiful nature enclave in the middle of a very developed area. So all of this ties together with the plan, again, as I mentioned, that we shared with you a couple weeks ago. Alan is gonna give you a brief presentation on the whole vision and the elements of this partnership.
Yeah, good morning, commissioners.
Yeah.
Since I am the last presentation, I will make it quick.
Today I'm going to walk you through a proposed partnership between Bloomfield Hills Schools and Oakland County Parks. This is really square within our Mission 26 framework. This starts to build out our discovery gateways. These two facilities in the Discovery Gateway Network are part of the 4 civic infrastructure layers that Chris presented on last week. They're immersive destinations organized around a specific theme. In this case, agriculture, food systems, nature, culture, and heritage learning. So we conducted a Glenn Gariff poll, and you may have mentioned it last week. This was back in November. 77% of county residents say they want more nature, farm, and cultural experience, and that would encourage them to visit parks more. That went up to 85% if they had children. So this really responds to a need and a real opportunity for us at Oakland County Parks. Nature. So what makes these discovery gateways distinct from a standard park is layering. So nature exploration is the entry point, but layered on that, learning, environmental education, that's school-based programming, citizen science, summer day camp programs, heritage and history. So artisan skills, storytelling. At the Bowers Farm, there is a historic log cabin and the Barton Farmhouse. These are said to be the oldest structures still standing in Oakland County. They were moved there 15 years ago and curated by a nonprofit group, Preservation Bloomfield. So we're in great shape and truly an opportunity to see the beginnings of this county. And culture. So fall festival, youth and family events, seasonal events, weekend music open barns, as they are called at the Bowers Farm. Food, so agriculture and food systems. If you've visited Bowers Farm, I don't know how many folks here have, you can purchase your vegetables, you can tour the farm gardens, organic farm gardens, and for most people, especially as we move away from an agrarian, our agrarian communities become more suburban, access to agriculture and learning about agriculture is going by the wayside. So for many people, this is their only introduction to where their food comes from, and that is critical, understanding food systems for healthy living. Let's talk Johnson Nature Center. This site is in Commissioner Gershenson's district. 40 acres, there's a visitor center. This would be called the Bloomfield Oaks. So Johnson Nature Center, similar to Independence Oaks and Wint Nature Center. It'd be Bloomfield Oaks and the Johnson Nature Center. A really popular destination currently. While it is 40 acres, the Rouge tributary runs through it, and any day of the week you can see a full parking lot. It's only 1.5 miles from the Pontiac border as well. Here's some more facts, why it matters, some of the partnership benefits. If you haven't been out there, I encourage you to check it out. It's right on Franklin, sort of between Square Lake Telegraph and Long Lake. Here's a picture of the 8-acre pond. Fishing is a popular program there, maple sugaring. There are about 150 trees tapped. There's a nature-based preschool, one of the few in the county. It's got a wait list for years. People are signing their kids up before they even have kids. Bowers School Farm, this will be called Discovery Oaks, so similar to that model, the Bowers Farm at Discovery Oaks. This sits in Commissioner Powell's district. This site draws significant annual visitation. Some of the vision in this partnership, you could see, obviously animals, that's a fan favorite. But whether it's an educational program or the pavilions, we look to add trails. There are some trails, but they're not currently, this site is not currently accessible to folks outside of a program or a scheduled visit. So we would open this site up, almost 100 acres, to anyone in Oakland County. And then Chris mentioned the Winter Park glow tubing. This is worth mentioning because it illustrates something important about activation in our parks. Our survey showed only 31% of people, visitors, use the park system in the winter. And the number one reason is it's cold. Well, yes, it is. I think in what we see, and this illustrates, this is really a design and a draw problem. You have to give them a reason to visit a park in the winter. So for example, this sells out, this posts in December, it opens in January, it sells out 20,000 visitors before it even opens. It runs 2 months. So we'd have the opportunity to take this and build capacity if desired. Here's a photo of it in the evening. All right, so a key question, why invest in a high-income community or pursue partnerships with schools? The fact is this is a regional destination and it's a misalignment for a school district. Bloomfield Township and the city of Bloomfield Hills does not have a parks department or recreation village. It did, and it operated through the Bloomfield Hills schools until Proposal A in 1994. And so they were sort of left with these legacy facilities that have really grown to be a regional draw. These facilities would immediately expand our system. Not only are they 2 new Discovery gateways in the south end, but it would be 8 times the participants we see now in youth, field trip, and nature education programming. It's 97,000 annual participants. The broader impact, as we project, Oakland County residents will be 2.3 miles from a county park by 2030. These 2 facilities are critical for that mission. Let's see, I got just a couple left here. So as part of the Mission 26 strategic goals to close this programming gap, we already have a plan to engage all 3rd graders in Pontiac schools out here at Bowers Farm this June. We're looking forward to that. And that can only grow from there. The reach of the local school districts, not just Birmingham and Bloomfield, but Troy, West Bloomfield, and down, Bowers Farm is right on I-75, so down that south transportation corridor. The agreement terms, it's a 30-year renewable partnership. We operate, manage, and maintain the property. We'll have some collaborative planning that includes bringing to them a park action plan, a park operations maintenance plan, and a CIP plan. We have agreed to invest $1.5 million in the Bowers Farm, and they will also put in $1.5 million into the facility. BHS does retain ownership of the property. Any questions?
I want to kick us off and then I'll go to you, Commissioner. I love this. I know we've talked for a while about engaging these smaller nature centers. Curious, obviously this is the first kind of stab at the smaller nature center model. Is the idea to still, if this goes well, branch it out to other nature centers if they're interested, or like what's the kind of landscape on that one?
Yeah, we did, have an initial conversation with Dinosaur Hill. It turned out that our mission and their goals didn't match up. Our goal is to try to bring in more volume, and they were looking to keep it a quiet, measured use facility. We've had some initial conversation with the Stage Nature Center folks. I think that could go somewhere in a positive direction, but each one of these has been 2 years in the making, getting these agreements to where they're at right now. So we're just taking them as we can. We came out of the pandemic, we saw all the health and wellness benefits of parks. And what the evidence shows is that if you can get to people when they're younger, you can change the whole trajectory of their life. So that's where I started looking around the county for who's doing this the very best. And that's where I found Allen and the Bowers and Johnson Nature Center. And we also brought in Heritage Park with their nature center. They have phenomenal programming. We can create great spaces, but it takes people and talent to make them alive with people. So, that's the goal, is to start with this core. We also have, because we've taken on MSU Extension's contract, potential of adding Tollgate Farm and Novi in the future. We've had some initial conversation with them about it. There's a few others that exist throughout the county that are either private or operated by school districts, and we'll just keep, those conversations going, but we want to start with this core. We have 2 existing nature centers, one in Madison Heights, one in Independence Township. These will add 2 more nature centers and a farm center. And there's going to be a lot of synergy between this and other things like the farmers market, frankly, where we're just going to have a deep bench of great programs for people to participate in different kinds of experiences. There's even a chef at Bowers Farm that can do cooking demonstrations at the farmers market, that type of thing.
Nice, awesome. And love ag, always think we need to get more young people interested in ag, or at least aware that it exists. Because a lot of people just blithely live their life not knowing where their food comes from. Commissioner Lubes and then Commissioner Segal.
I think the commissioners would like a tour of both facilities.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Get that chef to cooking something.
Commissioner Segal.
Well, kind of piggybacking on your comment, is there an existing 4-H or FFA program at Bowers?
Yes.
Excellent. And that is also, that program also connects with some of our more suburban and urban school districts to try to draw those kids into the concept of agriculture. Beautiful.
Absolutely, and it's part of the MSU Extension merger there as well. I do wanna just, leave a marker, because we'll be back down the road to probably with a contract with the school district to make sure we can bridge a period of time in transition with no interruptions in service. And then there will be a need to create some positions for the frontline educator roles there down the road as well. These are great potential assets for our site. I guess that's ultimately the even better answer to the question of why do this in a higher income community, is that they bring tremendous value to our county park system that benefits all the county residents. So thank you for your consideration.
I have one more question, just kind of conceptual. I had never thought about this with Oakland County Parks until your vision slide on the PowerPoint presentation. Nature, learning, heritage, culture, food. I had always, I don't know why, because I'm so engrossed in the National Park Service. But obviously there are like the nature parks, and that's what Oakland County had done, nature-y things and recreation things with the golf courses and the water parks. But the heritage, the history side, I had never really thought about, and I don't know why, because NPS, so much of the NPS units are non-nature, they're just history, culture. So is that a desire too, to start maybe thinking about engaging in smaller history or culture parks that are not necessarily nature-y, but engaging with those spaces across the county?
Well, I think most of you have probably experienced Carol Egbo, our county historian. She's a bit of a rock star in that local history community. We, have had a kind of a toe in the water in history. The Spicer House that comes with the Heritage Park agreement is another facility that has some historical character. We are always a little bit hesitant about taking on historical buildings just because of the cost of trying to remain true to the original character. So I think we will do it in a measured and careful way.
Sure. I guess I wasn't implying like you should buy old buildings, but
No.
just like, okay. Yeah. Anything else? Cool. Motion on the table is to recommend to the board. Madam Clerk, please prompt the vote.
You have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Awesome, that's been recommended. Any other business? Oh, there's one more item.
Johnson.
No, we did those together.
We did them together.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Yep.
I didn't.
Anything else from anyone? Any announcements, news, fun information to share? All right, everyone go live a fun, what is it, Tuesday?